you got to realize that whatever you're doing, you're competing with somebody. What is it that gives you an advantage over your competition? Whatever you're good at, try to be great at it. And if you're great at it, good things will happen.
Maverick Podcast.
I'm far from average. That's why I had to come sit down and chop it up with DJ Maverick. They know my name from coast to coast and even in Dallas. I use my talent when I'm faced with a challenge. Gratitude strength is my magnet. Close your eyes and imagine. If you can see it in your mind, then you can have it.
Maverick Podcast.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. This is the Maverick Podcast. I'm your host, DJ Maverick. Today, we have another rock star in the building. We have India-born, multi-genre artist, the one and only Sandeep. Welcome to the podcast once again.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for having me.
Before we start with everything, for the 1% of the people out there that don't know who you are, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So again, as you mentioned, my name is Sandeep, and that's the artist name that I go by, and that's also my real name. And I'm a multi-genre artist. I'm a geophysicist by day and a musician by night.
That's still so crazy. Every time you tell me that, like, it's just like, wow, like two different worlds.
Now I switch my role to a data scientist, but it's still dealing with data.
Still crazy.
Yeah. And yeah, I make music predominantly in my own language, Hindi.
Yeah.
And I just like to experiment with sound.
Yeah. I feel like since our last episode, you've grown so much as an artist, right? But I think along the way, there's been some bumps and there's been some pauses. Sounds like maybe some mental health stuff. I don't know if you want to start there, maybe a little bit deep, but let's talk a little bit about that. Like, were you just feeling burnt out or what was going on?
Yeah, I was feeling burnt out. So just for context, this was 2022, 23, where Finite Galaxy was just playing shows every week almost, it felt like, at different places. It was fun. Like, I actually always enjoy, and I still enjoy performing live.
Yeah.
It was everything surrounding it, like getting the band ready, getting all the paperwork ready, not getting, like, playing so much, but at the end of the month, you don't have much to show for it, like money-wise.
And marketing, we were talking about the marketing, right?
So I was basically switched into this sort of businessman persona, and I could not make any new music. And so, like, if I can't make new music, if that's how I basically make sense of the world, now I'm deprived of, like, a form of therapy that I had. So I kept doing shows because it was a lot of fun. And then the wall hit. It was just like, oh man, I need to get some break because I'm getting irritated just because I was, like, so much going on at work, at home. So I decided to just stop in the midst of momentum and just say, yeah, I need a break. Just
was there a tipping point, or is this? Like...
I mean, I think it was just happening for months, and then the tipping point was just realizing that if I keep doing music, I will start resenting it. And I didn't want to resent music. I just wanted, because I knew that wasn't really the issue. The issue was trying to do too much. So I decided to just step back and say, before I resent music and never come back to it, let me just take a break. So that was a hard decision to make because we had, like, shows lined up that I had to say no to. A couple of them I didn't really just start saying no to everybody, but, like, we had 2 shows lined up, said no to them, and then just took a break. I think it was like 8 or 9 months that I just decided, now I'm just going to live life.
And you were part of a duo, right? So your decision not only impacts what's going on in your life, but also him, right?
And shout out to Matt for always, believing in me. He did question it. He did get a little angry, saying that, we have so much momentum, and I understand that, know. But he also, I love him because he also understood the other side of it, where he's just like, I understand you need to take a break, so you do you. So he was very understanding of it, knowing that we'll come back to it. Yeah.
Were you ever fearful, though? You're going out of it. Are people still going to be there? Are they going to be receptive once I do decide to come back, right?
I mean, that's an honest thought that I think still occurs to me when I'm trying to, kind of perform live shows, and it's not the same reception as we used to get.
Yeah.
Where just, like, I'm trying to email people, I don't get a response, or I get a response saying that you're kind of booked up. So the momentum definitely died. So I still think about it. Like, I did think about it even then of how the momentum will die if I just do this right now. But that's a chance I had to take because I thought of it as, hey, if I could do it from not knowing how to play keyboard to this point, then I can just come back to it. It just can't be overnight. So I just had to really understand that thought process. Like, hey, it's okay. Just keep working on it. You'll get to the same level and better as you keep working.
Yeah. Walk me through the steps of how you got to a better spot. Like, did you figure it out on your own, or what were those pieces that slowly you started to put it back together?
Of course, one, obviously the first step is always understanding that you have, something going on and recognizing it instead of just saying, yeah, it's just a shitty day. I'm just going to move on from it tomorrow. But knowing those patterns. And then my wife has been a huge help through all of this. She's my best friend, and I love her. And she helped me a lot through just kind of talking through it. Obviously she's also a geophysicist, even smarter than me. So she's very, understanding of like human psychology and tries to understand and like,
Sure.
Even with my culture, like how does my culture affect, because a part of it was me wanting to be, always out there and like, hey, give me attention in a way,
Well,
we're just
that's
like, yeah,
totally part of our culture, right?
exactly.
Like you making your parents proud, the
And for that,
grinding, right? Like you
other
gotta do
people's
something.
acceptance of you is so much more important than your
1,000.
own.
Yeah.
So that was a huge part of it. So the first step was to recognize it, and then obviously seek professional help. Like I go to therapy almost every 2 weeks. So
Okay.
just kind of talking through some of the stuff and almost having a way to understand when those impulses are coming through to sort of manage them. And then just living life, mostly just
Yeah.
enjoying a walk, enjoying and I'm in that phase now where I'm a little bit more anxious. Like I'm, because as soon as I start making music, this naturally comes back. Is this the anxiety, because this underlying cultural, hey, if you do this, you gotta be good at it,
Right. Yeah.
So, but that being said, I think just therapy helped me a lot with just understanding these sort of episodes when they come and trying to manage them instead of like feeding into them.
Did you explore other outlets? Because to me, like you said, music is kind of how you make sense of the world, right? So if you don't have that outlet during that time, what were you doing? Did you explore other hobbies, or were you just like, hey, you know what? I've grinded so hard for so long. I don't want to do absolutely nothing right now.
I think it was a little bit of both. Like I did a lot of nothing in the first few months and a lot of FIFA. Like I play online a lot. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I play a lot.
Yeah.
I think I was still playing like 21 FIFA back then.
No way.
So, and then I think something that helped me was, I think watching a lot of movies, just because I love visual media, and a lot of times my attention will kick in like the ADHD, and I won't watch movies. Like when I really want to watch something, I'll have something else because I can just make a beat.
Yeah.
But then I had more time to just digest a lot of movies, and that's where some of the visual elements starts coming into my new music, is because I started listening to a lot of new music, new soundtracks. So those are the things that helped me cope. And I still wrote poetry a little bit. I just didn't ever go to the computer and make a piece of music, but I did write poetry. So it did still, music was still there in a way, but not really touch the computer and make a single beat for 9 months. Like not a single beat.
I bet that was hard.
Dude, that was, and then after a while you just forget. It just becomes, you make this thing so important in your life.
Right.
That was the weird thing. And then 9 months later, you're just like, I don't really miss it much, and then one day you make it again, you're just like, oh, I know the feeling I get when I make this.
Okay.
And that's hard to chase. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
was it different? Like once you decided to pick it up again, did you approach it differently, or what
Approach
was-
it very
yeah.
differently. So the reason I picked it up is I went to India for my cousin's wedding in October, and just going back home, seeing family, I'm sure had a lot to do with it.
Okay.
And sort of going back to my roots and understanding, going into different rickshaws and random music is playing, and that sort of cinematic feel of India,
Yeah.
I think is what stayed with me, with all its colors and sounds and stuff like that. And then when I came back home is when I had this weird like urge of just creativity. And I decided to, like, after 1 week of coming back in November, to just start making music. And up until like what I've been releasing so far, and also like the another 10 songs I'm gonna release from here on, were made in like that 1 week in November, like
Amazing.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
And it just, because I felt so, I don't know what it was, man. It's really hard to explain, but it was just a new perspective on like how to approach it. And me being solo first time, gave me the complete freedom, of just like I can tweak any single thing,
Right.
and all I have to worry about is like what I do, So it was just, it was a different approach completely.
Yeah. I've heard you drop the word cinematic several times, right? And we were talking before we got started that cinematic was right there staring at your face. So
Always.
tell me about the word cinematic and how you discovered it and what it means to you.
When I grew up watching Bollywood films, and everything is over the top, very, charismatic,
Yep.
cinematic, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like there's a different cinema too, right? There's like the indie cinema versus the Bollywood, which is more, showy, more extravagant, that kind of stuff. So I've always grew up watching Indian films. In India, I was always the one who was the romantic in the class,
Okay.
trying to write poems to girls and
Nice.
stuff
Ladies'
like
man.
that. Ladies man, So that feel of like out of this world sort of, the Shah Rukh Khan of India, every Indian kid kind of has that in them. But I just had it a little bit more where I like enjoyed, music videos and danced a little bit. So, that cinema was always there in terms of whatever it is, music, dance, visuals. So then when I started making music in 2018, 19, I didn't know that, but I naturally went towards more cinematic stuff. But I didn't really discover like any of it until like 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Not discover it. It didn't really click until like 2 weeks ago, where somebody at the live performance, D Wright, he's one of the rappers too. He said that, man, your music is really cinematic, and all of a sudden
It just clicked.
It wasn't because I've never thought of it. Because every time people have mentioned my music before, they've said, "Oh, this could be in a movie." But when you say it in that way, like, "Oh, your music is very cinematic," it gives you a little bit more the brand idea, and it's like,
Right.
"Oh, wait, hold on a second. That's what I've been doing all this time." And so for me, cinematic music is the reason I feel even with a language barrier, I need my music to be heard by a lot of people, because there is that essence of no matter what you're saying, the music has so much emotion in it
Yeah.
that I want people to just feel it, just close their eyes and just feel those emotions. So that's where like the cinematic approach comes in, is draw them into this world that I'm creating, either through sound or through sound and visuals, and let them enjoy it.
I could totally see that. Even in the instruments, I mean, you produce a lot of your stuff,
Yeah.
right? So even the instruments, they sound like a soundtrack. I was telling you, it sounds like a big old band.
You mentioned that
Yeah.
at the music video.
Yeah. Let's talk about that, because
Yeah.
you had a release party for your music video, which was amazing. Congrats! Like
Thank
you
you.
executed that so well. I mean, the group of people that showed up,
Amazing.
supporters, 1000%. And then you had the food, the drinks,
food was so
curated.
good.
Like, I'll let you describe everything.
Yeah.
Like, what was the thought process to that?
So I knew once we saw the music video after we filmed it, and we filmed it twice, once in the parking lot of our studio, but that didn't really work as well. So then Kazi is the one who recommended going up there on that roof at 10th and Broadway to like have the skyline in the back. Because again, cinematic,
Paint the picture, because it's
neon,
like at
night, just neon lights in the back. The Jeep light is on, there's a fluorescent, yellow Jeep, sitting. And then it's basically, the song is about how I am questioning life, and Natasha dancing becomes sort of the reason I called it First Light, is because in the song I said, you came into my life like the first rays of the sun, like the first light that
That's so
hits you.
cool.
Yeah. So I wanted Natasha to be the subconscious that I'm trying to push away in the beginning of the music video, but accept it, because that's just me. The whole album sort of is like a conversation with my subconscious, saying that, hey, why do you always twist my brain and like say a certain thing, So it's like kind of unraveling the onion, basically, unpeeling the onion of my mind. So the music video, the music video release party came to my head because I like having more intimate events. Like shows are awesome, but I also like talking to people that listen to the music and get their ideas of like, hey, what did you like? What did you not like? That kind of stuff. So and then that spot is dope.
That's perfect.
Sound bar.
Like a listening, like it's meant to just kind of like
It's amazing.
sit there, like multiple speakers. They've got vinyl records. It's like the perfect spot,
Yeah.
right?
So I knew that I wanted the song was that sort of like cozy feel with a little bit more, and having it in Automobile Alley made sense too with the neon buildings and everything. And then the food was, I love.
It was so good.
I'm Indian, but I love Nepali food too.
Yeah, it was so good.
And the Momo Mandu, shout out to Momo Mandu Rachna. She hooked us up, and she had basically momos are like Nepali dumplings, and they had a lot of amazing fillings inside. Man, it was like a vegetarian and a chicken one. And then my friend from Kebabish Bite, he came through. Wasim, and then basically brought some more food that I didn't even know if he was
really?
bring. So that was amazing. Yeah.
That's awesome. One thing that stood out when we were talking about the music video, you said that it was really important for you to be one continuous shot, right? And when I looked at the video, I was just like, man, I feel sorry for the videographer because he must have been like jumping around, going in and out.
Ozzy was dying.
Like the Jeep is like the door opens, it goes in, like.
Yeah.
Because the other thing is like you danced throughout the whole music video, right?
Yeah.
Were you intimidated by that dancing, right? Like, because the girl, the lady in the video, like you could tell like she's a dancer, right? So you had to like step it up and like make sure you could hang, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, I used to be in a hip hop group, and so I did dance.
You're holding out.
I'm holding out.
Yeah.
So
you were break dancing, or what type of dancing were you?
Basically, just like Jason Derulo style hip hop dancing, that kind of stuff. I did one backflip once.
Nice.
On a stage.
My bad. I didn't know. I thought you were.
But I haven't danced in a while, and it's one of those things where I felt like I was kind of getting conscious because I'm not that skinny kid like I was. Like 150 pounds, 55 pounds.
Same.
So like I started getting a little bit more self-conscious of like I wanted to dance in music videos, but I just didn't want, like it just felt more self-conscious for me. But this time Natasha, who's an amazing person, she made the choreography because I told her the idea, and this was her choreography using the Jeep and everything around us. So she made it so I, who hasn't danced in a while, could get those steps.
It was a piece of art,
dude. It was beautiful
because like you were going in and out of the Jeep. Like the Jeep was like just a part of it. Just like you guys.
Yeah.
Which I'm sad because you told me the Jeep got in an accident recently, right?
That's getting
so
fixed.
hopefully it's like okay. But I would say like the Jeep is an important part because you guys play with the Jeep and the interior, the exterior. Like it's just like it's art. It's cinematic. Right?
Yeah.
So when you were practicing and making sure that it was one shot, like I'm sure it was like, okay, let's do that one again.
Yes.
Let's do that one again. At what moment did you decide, okay, this is it, we've got it?
So the first time we shot it, which was not in the parking lot, we did it in a parking lot just next to our studio, like I was mentioning. And we did it like 8 times, but it just, something about it just wasn't right. The buildings were too close, so you didn't get that depth of field.
Okay.
So Kazi said, man, I like it. And it was focus breathing a lot, where it's like going in and out of focus because it's dark,
And you're dancing and jumping
exactly.
around
And he was using his Canon. So we decided to like rent out a decent camera, an FX3, so you can have low light capability. And then we decided to shoot on the parking lot. And that day we did 8 takes. And we chose the 7th one.
Wow.
Because 7th one, we realized that this is the best one where Kazi's not seen in the shadows and everything is right.
Was he ever like, hey, are you sure this has to be one? Was the one take your idea or his idea?
Oh, of course it's my idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was he ever like, hey, can we just not like cut it up? Like, was he ever?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Multiple times?
Multiple times. Maybe one day we'll release the OG version,
or the behind the scenes
that me and Natasha really like, actually.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, because it's like very raw. It's like a little bit less polished, but it's very raw feeling, that one. So maybe we'll do a version 2 of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we can go back to your video release. So I just had to like touch on the whole,
of course,
the whole, it has to be one take, because to me that was really cool, right?
Yeah.
So the release, like food, amazing
food.
The place, amazing. And then you had some drinks that were like kind of specialized, right, for the night, right?
Yeah. What did we call them? One was Tequila Sandiva, which was a tequila sunrise, but instead of, what is it? I forgot what's in there, but we used guava juice, and then something called Roo Afza, which is like a syrup, like a rosy syrup from India. And this is my wife. Basically, I told her, hey, can you design me like couple of cocktails and mocktails. And then she made another mocktail with, again, guava juice, mango juice, and some other stuff.
Yeah.
So we had it like themed where we wanted like some Indian flavors in the mix too, in terms of the drinks. And then I think the bartender, I forgot his name, I think it's Chad, but he also made another drink, which was, I think, the hit for me.
Okay.
And I forgot what it was in there, but he had some lime and some that rose water and pineapple juice and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So it was all it was trying, again, I kind of love these sort of experiences where you come in and you remember it, like, you know, it's like, hey, remember that awesome food at the music video release?
Yeah.
So like I just want to meet new people that you know, even inspire me to do more things.
Yeah, I would say that the other thing I was impressed with was just your tribe in general, right? Everybody that showed up to support you, and everybody was there, like, just like, hey, we got your back no matter what, right? So tell me about that. Were you surprised with the turnout, or you're like 1,000%, like, I've got this, people got my back? Or
Bro, I
what?
was freaking out.
You're freaking out?
I was freaking out because I said, like, the event starts at 5:30, right? And I'm there 5:30 with all the stuff ready.
Yeah.
And like, it's just original flow and few other people
Mhm.
and few people from work. And I was like, oh, fuck, dude. And then 6 o'clock hit, 6:30 hit, few more people showed up.
Yeah.
And then like 7 o'clock to 8, I'm just like, why are these people here? You know? This is amazing, you know?
Yeah.
So people just came through, you know, like word of mouth. And then people came up to me after that and was like, man, this was amazing. I didn't know about you. A lot of people started following me. So it's like a lot of people that I knew, but also I just met new people just because they heard it from somebody else.
Okay.
I even met, I think she's a classical music teacher at UCO or something like that. Yeah, or it was amazing. I was like, what?
Yeah, that's
and I was like, I'm gonna play my shitty singing in front of you.
No, I think it was cool because you played it once and the people like enjoyed it so much they asked you to play it again, right?
Yeah.
And everybody was like trying to do the moves and trying to say the hook and everything, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
So
pretty
that
cool.
wanted to be, I wanted that because that my critique from my wife was, you change your beats too much. And also, you don't have hooks, you know, because I do weird shit. Like sometimes I just don't want to have a hook.
Right.
And so this was my kind of homage to, because the song is also about her, you know, she's my subconscious and my light. So like I want it to be very catchy, you know, cinematic again,
Yeah.
but also very like the hook has to be good.
The ladies were loving it.
Dude,
they
I
were
was like,
eating it up. They're like, what does it
let's
mean?
do it.
You're my like, oh my God.
And I guess
that's
that
so
makes it a little bit more R&B, I guess so.
Yeah. Yeah. So the other thing is like you won an award.
Yes. So I applied to, and I'm still waiting to hear from a few other festivals, but the first one was California Music Video Award. And I applied for, I think it's like best international music and non-English music video. And they nominated me for like 6 different other things, like best artist, best male artist, best R&B song, best world music. And then finally, I think I tied on best world music with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was the winner for the best R&B music video. And I'm just like,
and you probably weren't even looking at it as an R&B track, right? You were telling me it was more like
it was more like indie pop or pop, you know, bedroom pop, basically. Yeah. But all of a sudden they see, again, it's just like that idea of the music has a certain feel and other people feel different. And they're like, hey, this is very R&B, you know, like very dancey. So
that's the beautiful thing about art, right? Like you could create something and people interpret that differently.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's another question I had for you today is like, are you ever afraid you're doing Hindi, right? Mixing with hip hop.
Yeah.
Are you ever worried that people can't identify with that or can't like gravitate towards that music?
Yeah. I mean, that thought definitely stays around.
Yeah.
That definitely stays around. But I feel just the love I've been getting, even with, you know, rapping in Hindi and singing in Hindi has been pretty massive, like more than I ever thought I would get, just because it's, you know, a different cultural expression, it's different style of music. It doesn't fit anywhere. You know, a lot of times, like it doesn't fit in bars. Sometimes, like, you know, it's just different, you know? So it still is a thought that I have is like, hey, because a lot of people do mention, it's like, hey, would you ever do it in English? And I would. It just needs to come naturally to me.
But then I think it loses a lot of the vibe and not a lot of like the mystique and intrigue to it, right?
Yeah. And that's what it's kind of like a French cinema, right? It's just like, that's what it is. Like, it's my own cinematic world that I'm building through all these music and music videos that hopefully that is enough to just feel the underlying emotion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I would argue right now in the age that we live in, everybody's trying to like just get that viral TikTok, right? And get that little hook, that catchy little sound, right? But I think you're doing it a different approach where like you're doing something completely different that people are glued to it just because they're like trying to like figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
Right? Like I hear hip hop, I hear rapping, but then I hear Hindi.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is R&B. I don't know if it's hip hop. I don't know what it is, right?
And that's probably something that I think consciously even strive for is just having no boundaries in terms of the sound. Just because I think that's when I've made my favorite music is when I've decided boundaries are just not going to be around this piece of music. And so anything goes. Like, try it. Like, it doesn't matter. You're in a bedroom. You're not making it in front of people.
True.
Like, it doesn't matter. So I think that hopefully stays with me for a long time is that experimentation, because I think that's what I want it to be, is kind of like a cinematic experience, but also a little bit more intriguing. It's like, hey, what's next? Like, what visual are we going to get next? What music are we going to get next? What genre are we going to be blended? Which is going to be, I've already started on the next one.
What made you submit it in the first place? Were you just like, I'm just going to submit it and see what happens?
That's basically it. Yeah, it was super easy. And I felt like we did a good job at basically almost no money music video. We're just like just renting the equipment,
But it doesn't feel like it's low scale or anything.
And that's what it is. So that's why the first time I felt like I've put things into festivals before with my other music videos for Finite Galaxy, but I never really like truly felt like I was gonna get, because it was like one of those things where I was still learning, but I just was doing it as, oh, that's something you're supposed to do, at least try to get out there. But now, like, I'm more curated, where it's just like, oh, if it feels like it needs to be there, at least in my head, it needs to be there, and then they can decide if they think that it needs to be in any nominations. But for me, like, when I feel like it's ready, then from now on, that's the only thing I'm gonna probably send in. So I was just like, let's just send it in. I mean,
congrats.
I felt like it was good, so I was like, let's do it. Yeah,
1000%. I'll put the link in the description so people can check it out if they haven't. But it's definitely worth the check out, because I think just the amount of effort to do it one take, the dancing, doing it at night, making sure that the guy's not like, his shadow's not like, there's so many variables, and it's like one take. So it's pretty cool. Yeah. You were telling me that now your approach to music is a little bit different, because you're also the producer. You like to do the mastering. You like to do basically hands-on throughout the whole process. You're telling me that you're starting to let go of some of that, right? Tell me about that.
So from production all the way to at least getting a reference, all I think I've always done. And from before this, I've always kind of mixed and mastered my own music.
Yeah.
I'm not good at it. I mean, I'm a geophysicist. I do signal processing, so I understand the ideas of frequencies and pitch, and leaving room for instruments to occupy. But again, knowing is one thing, textbook wise, versus like doing it for years and years and years, like engineers do, to really hear the nuances and to understand what a balance mix is. I just never had that experience, so I didn't think of it much. I just kept doing it myself, using online mastering platforms and YouTube videos of like, hey, I'll $20 for this vocal chain, and then use that, and then buying plugins and stuff like that. So I was getting pretty good at utilizing it to get the sound where I wanted in my head. But then the final step, I decided that I need to seek like professional help with that, because I felt like at this point, with all the new music coming out, I just can't just like throw it out there. Like, if I have the means to have it mix and master professionally, I should utilize it, just because I want to put the best foot forward, like not just because I'm like, oh, I can do it myself, that ego comes in
Right.
where you want to control every single sound.
But do you enjoy it, right? Like
I
sometimes
enjoy it.
it's like, yeah, it's difficult to do, but sometimes you enjoy that part of it too.
I
right?
enjoy I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the actual creating of the sound and layering it more now. And I felt like all the other stuff is just, I can just outsource it.
Yeah.
Yeah, excuse me. I can just outsource it
Mhm.
just because I don't feel like I have the experience to really deal with that right
Mhm.
now.
You're
Yeah.
telling me a cool thing that came out of it was that the highs and stuff were mastered a little bit different
Yeah.
than what you would have done.
Because I just add air to my sound, and also Hindi is very siblincy, like so like it's, and I'm also using this mic, and I'm
Yeah.
pretty close to it, and my style of singing is like very intimate to the mic,
Mhm.
so it picks up a lot of that S's, and I don't know how to tame them as well as somebody who knows how to do that.
Okay.
So everything was very balanced, and I think I'm also, the reverb has a lot of high end, so it sort of like shimmers and like breaks the speaker. And I was like, because I was listening to it on my phone, that's what it started.
Okay, have you ever thought about putting this instrument here or changing it or doing what?
I think Gilson knows not to do that.
Yeah.
Or at least I've kind of just mentioned that I'm mostly looking for, and I've always like make sure that I level set expectation, because I'm also trying to be better at communicating well, because I feel like I'm one of those people who doesn't want to disappoint other people, so he'll hide certain things or like not say what he feels.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to like do more of that. So with Gilson, I said that, hey, I'm only looking to take this to like 100%. Like I know I'm at like 70 with all this stuff, but I just need to just perfect it.
So you're basically saying, this is my art. This is
Exactly.
how I want to interpret it.
Yeah.
I just need you to
Exactly.
finish the touches, but
for
not
him,
change it.
Not change anything.
Right.
Like adding, like I would love for him to, and he did that and I loved it, to experiment with effects. Like, hey, how does that echo come in on your vocals? Like, how do we increase the reverb at the end of this verse to make it shimmery,
Yeah.
So that kind of automation stuff, I think he enjoys doing. So that is something that I was like, absolutely, dude. Like I would love to see what you feel effects could be. But like adding instruments is where I'm just like, yeah.
Right.
Like if he said, oh dude, the bass could be a little bit better and I can play it live, that's completely fine. But like adding stuff, like I start to get like, man, it just doesn't become your own music anymore. Yeah.
And right now you're currently working on a big project, like a whole
Man, that's
entire
like
album?
so many albums,
Or
dude.
are you going to do singles, or what's the approach?
So I have 3 albums ready,
ready.
like in terms of like just demos,
Yeah.
everything done.
Okay.
Again, it just, once the creativity hit, I just kept making. But the first light, then before that Chehra, which is also that music video, I'm dancing in the sunroom.
Yeah.
Those 2 are part of my album called Ghar, and Ghar just means house or home. And I'm trying to get that finished up so that I can release it in the summer.
Okay.
And it's going to be a very summer album. That's what it is. It's about, and I'm going to shoot a lot of my music videos at home at different locations in the house.
Yeah.
But
let's talk about that, because that one video, I think it was just your patio
Sunroom,
or
yeah.
backyard,
Yeah.
right? And you're just dancing.
Yeah.
But it looks so cool because it's just kind of like shadows,
yeah.
vibey. Right?
Yeah.
Tell me about that. What did you think of that?
Man, and that's the reason I am not really seen is, again, I talked about being self-conscious in front of the camera. And that's something that I kept thinking about when I was doing that music video.
Yeah.
And then I decided, it's like, hey, I'm going to put the camera outside the house, shoot it inwards, and get my reflection on the window, which is between, the outside window, which is the sunroom window, and the internal window.
It looks so cool.
And it just like, it just felt cinematic. Like it was just like one of those things where just like, and it's again a one take, and I'm literally listening to my music on my headphones and dancing. Like that's what I'm doing.
It's so hard to do that. Like you're saying like, hey, I don't care, but like it's hard to get to that point to where you truly don't care, right? With social media, with marketing, you're going to have to put that out there to the world, and you're going to get feedback. So how do you get to that level to where like, no matter positive or whatever feedback I get, I don't care?
I haven't mastered that. All you do is get depressed, But no, in all fairness, I am working through like, how do you take criticism?
Yeah.
Because just a small story, like I sent my music, which was First Light, to this place called Playlist Push, which kind of just send your music out to curators on Spotify,
Okay.
and they get to critique you for like $1 a song, or
man.
no, it was actually a pretty decent amount of campaign money. So I was just like, because it did pretty good on my first song, Storm, and the second one, dude, I got rejected like 30 times.
Jeez.
Only one person added me onto playlist. Like,
And they give you feedback? Like,
yeah,
it's harsh?
somebody said that we don't take Spanish language music.
Come on.
I'm just like, dude, at least read my bio.
pay attention. Yeah. Jeez.
And then if somebody's like, everything's, it's they just give you some feedback.
Yeah.
And there's like 20-year-old kids, just like
So
on a
it's
Spotify
a
playlist.
random audience. It's not like curators or like.
It is curators actually,
Yeah.
but the curators that actually had a good playlist that like did numbers.
Okay.
So they'll send it to, like, if I start a playlist and I tomorrow, let's say by promoting it, get 20,000 likes, then I can charge people to like get on my playlist so that they can get plays. And Playlist Push just basically does that
Okay.
for a large amount of people. Like, they just send it out to a lot of people. But again, it was just, I feel like a desperation from my side, and I'll accept it. It's just like trying to get that sort of acceptance, like, hey, my music is good. Can you get on my, can you get me on my playlist, on your playlist? Sorry. And so I got rejected so many times. And so that critique is still something it's hard for me to digest a lot of times, just because it is that idea, with, us being brown, is the idea of like, you gotta please somebody else for your worth to be good, like, you can't just please yourself. Like, what is this shit,
Right.
Because it's a very like community based, like, hey, if other people think you're good, then you're cool.
What I've realized, if people don't hate or don't take to what you're doing, then you're probably not creating art that's worthwhile, right? So it reminds me of the Super Bowl performance in Kendrick.
Yeah.
The amount of people that were hating on Kendrick and saying that it was the worst halftime show ever, like, and that just like, that's Kendrick, right?
Yeah.
Imagine if he gets that hate, right? And like, to me, it's just like, if you're creating art that's people are talking about it one way or another, then you're doing something right.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That's a different way of looking at it. Yeah. You're at least starting the conversation, like,
creates some kind of feeling, right? Where if people are just like, it was okay, then to me it's like, okay, then he's probably not trying hard.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, my wife said it in a very beautiful way, just like, so just how many people voted for whoever we voted for? Now imagine that statistics.
That's true.
Trying to listen to your music, it's just like, they're not gonna like it.
True. You do have to put your art
Absolutely,
out there.
you have to put.
Right.
I think it's that idea of like not being desperate, like, and I felt like I'm pretty much open to talk about any flaws of mine. It's like, that's one thing I'm working with right now. It's like how to not be desperate and just be patient. Like, things take time. Like, it took me so long to get to how I sound now. And it's only been 5 years, man. There's so much to go. Like, there's so much to explore. And I get very impatient sometimes because I feel like if I'm good at something, I need something out of it now instead of, hey, just enjoy it for what it is. So
that's an important thing. Have you reframed what you think success is now, right? Because I'm sure it's probably changed. When you first started as an artist, you probably thought that this one thing meant that you were successful. It's probably different today, right?
It's very different, man. And that's something I still, again, I'm just working through. I'm a work in progress through all of this. Like, what is success for me? Success for me, the numbers I do on Spotify. Success for me, how many people, actually come physically to my shows and tell me how beautiful the music video was. Like, what is this 2,000 monthly listeners to 5 people that actually came up to me and talked to me?
Yeah.
That's so, like, I'm always in the battle with myself of like, yes, I want to do numbers. Like, I want to travel. I want to take my music to other people, but also keeping that in mind, that cannot be your only thing that you keep thinking about. And I felt like that's something that I got sucked into, is only thinking about numbers, is only thinking about what to do. Same thing with like Benfina Galaxy, like only thinking about, let's do shows as many as possible, get out there. But then I think it's just like knowing that that's where you're going, but taking it slower and understanding the process a little bit more. That's probably something that has changed. So I still work through my demons of, not being able to follow critique and not be able to take critique, this and that, too focused on numbers. But I guess at least I realize that's what I'm doing and I'm trying to better myself. And so success for me at this point in time is just to make music that I love. I think that's,
Okay.
and just reach out to people like you, like Kazi, collab. I think that's what's the fun part.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just talking to people, collaborating with other artists. So
Because I
Yeah.
think even your approach to live performances, it sounds like it's different now, right? So walk me through that.
course.
What are your thoughts behind that now?
man, the live performance, it's hard because I think, again, the word cinematic came 2 weeks ago, but the idea of having an event for every live performance and music video has always been there.
Mhm.
Like I want to bring, obviously, like we used to do with Finite Galaxy, bring different instruments on stage, Indian instruments, violins, cellos, I know anything we can think
Yeah.
of. But now I feel like I want to introduce more of my culture in terms of my fashion style
Mhm.
and also dancers that are more culturally, inclined, and basically create sort of a spectacle when,
Okay.
when I do live shows. But again, you got to be reaching a certain level to do that. You
Yeah.
can't just be doing
funny.
that at like Opolis, yeah.
Right, right.
So, but my live performance, at least with what I have in control right now, I'm trying to do this live music sort of album release thing where I introduce and I invite people and introduce them to my new music, and then we collaborate and do a music live performance in the house, and then I record it like an NPR Tiny Desk style,
Okay.
and then every song has a meaning to it, and I basically talk to the artist before we do the actual performance and make it sort of a docu-series where I try to understand what home means to people, because that's the idea of this. Because again, being from India, being there 16 years and coming here, you start becoming that third culture kid where you're like two Indian for Americans, two
Right.
Americans for Indians.
Yeah.
So it's me trying to find my place, and that's the idea of the album, is like, where is my place? So I want to ask people that. So it becomes more than collaboration. It becomes like two artists sharing their journey, and
Mm.
I want to do a music video for our performance and then do it for every song on the album.
That would be cool.
That would be awesome. Yeah.
Have you done, you're talking about, home, and have you performed back home where that Hindi music is like
No.
understood and they can understand the lyrics? No? To
I've-
me, that would be like a whole different reception, right? Like that
It would be a different reception, but I think the thing is, India has such a boom in hip hop
yeah.
since like it's been there for a while, but like I think of it like 2017, 18, 19. Those 3 years were pivotal for so much hip hop. So like it's just so many artists, dude. So
Yeah.
people from outside, it's a little bit harder time to get in.
Okay.
So you almost have to, because they'll compare you to like a local person because they are more ingrained with the society. For me, I would not characterize myself as like somebody talking about India.
Mhm.
I think that's what a lot of hip hop is. I would say talking about just being Indian in a different country. So like the audience is gone for a little bit, like in India, because they don't understand, or they might understand as on a human level, but marketing there just hasn't worked for some reason, man.
Really?
Yeah, because it felt like I was more received better with people who have sort of cultural identity, not crisis, but like cultural identity things, where it's just like it's a interesting take on music and blending
And you're just
cultures.
blending, right?
Yeah, like blending Western and Eastern culture. So I feel like I would love to go back perform, dude. But I feel like I'll have to be successful somewhere else before I can enter that market.
Really?
Because there's so much talent, dude.
Mm.
Like so much amazing, like Hanuman Khan, who's like blowing up right
Yeah.
now. I used to listen to him and he was on SoundCloud, and I knew since then, it's like, man, he's gonna be an amazing artist one day. And he always was. And then he just blew up all of a sudden.
Even if you curate a show or curate a list of artists that you like and do the performance that way, you still think that there would be hesitation from the people there?
Maybe that might work a lot better than just I feel like I'll have to probably start with collaborating with somebody in India and kind of going through that route. But again, like collaborating is so hard for me because I'm kind of gets a little bit too selfish with my
Right.
music.
Yeah.
But then I think if I find somebody and but I do love collabing too. Like it's a weird phase for me.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I just like doing everything myself. But like probably collaborating with somebody in India would probably open that door for me. Maybe that's the way I could go back home.
Yeah.
Or knowing somebody who knows somebody, a event promoter or something like that. But like, and it's also like hard because at this level, if I go to India, spend all that money to go to India, which I can just hang out with family.
Sure.
So that's 2 in 1. But like trying to perform there, I think the amount of effort versus, like it might not be feasible at this point, but I would love to go back
Yeah,
home.
I
dude.
just feel like there'd be something there maybe.
That was I would love to
Yeah.
go back home.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who followed me on. I ran some ads and I ran some in India, and there's a lot of people with the new stuff that followed me.
Okay.
I guess maybe with the new stuff it could be different, but before this, like with Finite Galaxy stuff,
Yeah.
it was a little bit too
That's like a different vibe though.
different vibe.
Because I can't remember the last time you were on the pod, but I feel like now, present day, to me, you feel like a different artist. You feel like you're doing a different type of art form.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel.
I feel
Yeah.
completely different, man.
Yeah.
I feel like I definitely honed a lot of skills with Finite Galaxy, sort of understood what to do, what not to do,
Yeah.
and then also understood like what I like personally as well. Because I still made solo stuff, but I never sang on my solo stuff or rapped. I always made instrumentals, but started like all of a sudden, and also there was a fear saying that I don't think you can write an entire song by yourself. You have to have somebody else write the second verse.
I see.
So a fear of like writer's block, a fear of like, hey, if you start truly giving yourself into this, are you a good writer at the end of it? No matter what I write, it's gonna be my truth, no matter what it is.
Right now, I would say hip hop music is super commercial, present day, right? So what's on your playlist right now that's keeping you creative, keeping you sounding different, and just keeping you motivated to continue to be in that
Absolutely,
hip-hop
man.
lane, right?
I've been listening to a lot of dope stuff, man. I think it started with a lot of Radiohead, revisiting Radiohead.
Really?
Yeah. Love Radiohead is one of my favorite artists, but I just kind of got into hip hop a lot more. So I started to get back to sort of eclectic stuff.
Got it.
Through Radiohead, I started listening to a lot of the Smile, which is new band. And then hip hop, I started getting really into experimental. So JPEG Mafia has been on top of my list,
Okay.
and Death Grips. Then Clipping, another one, amazing artist. There's 2 producers and 1 rapper, and they make like what's almost called noise rap. It's just like very interesting, just noises, and they'll make like a beat around it. So I think stepping out and just listening to stuff that I wouldn't listen to normally sort of opened my mind even more to different genres. And another avenue that I'm exploring artistically and listening to a lot is kind of like gothic folk.
Okay.
So one of the artists is Angels of Light, which is Michael Gira. He used to be in a band called Swans. I think they're traveling again, but it's like avant-garde rock. But his artist, Angels of Light, is very backwoods, sort of swampy, very
Interesting.
creepy,
Okay.
like gothic sort of style. And I love that, dude. I love that sort of southern gothic. So I've been sort of experimenting with that sound myself as well. It's just, I like the sort of eeriness of it. And so just listening to just and Bollywood, dude. Bollywood's always rolling.
True.
Bollywood is always rolling.
How do you feel like somebody about like Tyler, right? Because I feel like
I love that.
Tyler is like one of those artists that kind of the same thing that happens to you where they try to put him in a box, but you can't really, right?
Really? Yeah.
Like they always try to put him in the hip hop category. But if you listen, especially his last album,
Yeah.
I wouldn't call that hip hop.
No.
I don't know what you would call it, but it's definitely
It's
not
just
hip-hop,
it's
right?
just Tyler being Tyler.
Just Tyler, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's where I feel like I get inspired by Tyler a lot, is just not caring about
Yeah.
what the genre is. Like they'll know you by your name, not, like they'll be like, oh, that's Tyler's style of music, you
Right.
know?
And he's singing when I'm sure most of the people are like, hey, there's no singing in hip hop. What
Yeah.
you doing? Right?
And that's what it is. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. Like if you just like what's his name? Who started just playing flute. what's that?
The dude from
rapper?
Outkast?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Andre 3000.
100,000? Yeah. But I feel like he's already gotten to that level of like
Oh yeah,
FU money
Oh, yeah.
level of success
Oh, yeah,
where
dude.
he's like, I'm gonna do whatever.
yeah, and that's what Tyler is, right?
Right.
Like it's the same. Like
Yeah.
people, like for me, like that I do it differently again, just because I feel like it's a way for me to learn a new sound, and like I get so intrigued by what that sound is telling me
Mm.
that I start like almost like thinking about it, dreaming about it, and then slowly start making that stuff. So
Okay.
yeah, so it's fun, dude. I want to get to a point where I just like, again, as you said, I don't know what this is, what genre this is, but I know this is Sandeep's music because it sounds a certain way.
Yeah.
So it's like a feeling more than the actual genre. Like you can name it whatever, but I want that uniqueness to be, something I strive for. I don't think I'll achieve it, but something I want to strive for.
Yeah. I think you're gonna have to have tough skin because I know it bothers Tyler when they're like, okay, best hip hop category, and they put him in there, and he's like, I'm not hip hop. This is not a hip hop album, right?
You always get people.
I don't know how you
bucketing
feel about that, right? But like your music video, they put you in R&B. To me, that's cool, but I don't know how you feel about it.
Yeah.
Right?
I
don't
mean,
know.
I thought it was pretty cool. Yeah. Like if they put me in like country or like,
Yeah, right.
rock, just like,
Yeah.
But I get it. Like it's one of those things, like if I was in Tyler's shoes and somebody's like, dude, your song is hip hop, it's like, hold on, I'm already on like the Grammys. Like it doesn't
Right.
matter,
Right.
But I get it. Like it's also, you have to be true to your art. Like if you want people, again, it's also like everything is in a box, right? Everything's like, hey, who are you? What's your, what political spectrum are you? Like everything is like named,
Yeah.
so you almost have to like music. That's why I love listening to music that has almost like no, like, what the fuck is
Yeah,
this?
because people always try to
Yeah.
put labels on everything,
Yeah.
right? Everybody has to,
and that's
they're like,
fine. Like I don't mind it, it just, I mean, for me, it's just, I don't know, eternal. I don't know.
how
Something.
far are we from these? You mentioned a whole album and all these projects. How far out are we?
Man, I think so. Mixing and mastering would probably take a month. I was in my head feeling May or June that I'll drop this stuff. But again, I want to make sure I have some backlog of stuff, knowing what my vision is, at least try to curate a lot of content before I actually release something. So let's say June.
Okay.
Yeah.
You were
is-
telling me that you don't really enjoy the marketing side of it, right? But I think maybe your approach to music should be the same approach to marketing, right? Like we were talking about just going to a coffee shop.
Yeah.
You enjoy like chai a lot, right? Like just going there, making a beat or making a song there and just vibing out and not even worrying about the production of the marketing
is-
behind it. I don't know. What do you think about
No,
that?
that's a dope idea. Like I've always liked music videos where there's this music video by Coda the Friend where he just basically has people come and listen to his music and just vibe out.
Okay.
And that's a music video.
That's
It's just
a
like
video.
people just like listen to his music and
Yeah.
they're with their partner or something like that and they look at them. It's a love song,
Yeah.
like smile at them. So that I felt like that stuff was really interesting. So like the home idea came from Dijon's home recording of his album, which was basically a set. I didn't know
Might
that.
be cool, like a house party.
Dude.
You're listening to this like music video, but it's a house party and people are just vibing.
Dude, I've
People-
definitely thought
That
about
would be
doing
cool,
that. Yeah,
right?
I've definitely thought about at least doing like a NPR when I do the NPR Tiny Desk, which I didn't do this year. Next year, like the performance, I want to just have people come and watch it
Okay.
at home,
Yeah.
and then we'll just record one of the songs and put it on
Yeah.
online. But yeah, man, it's a lot of that just doubting yourself, dude, through the whole thing. But I'm trying, dude. June, I feel like is the right month. July is my birthday, so I was thinking,
Nice.
but then I
Okay.
started like doubting myself. Just
Yeah.
like, man, do I release a single here? Do I release a single there? But I might release a single, but I feel like I'm just summer is what I'm feeling the album would be.
Okay.
Just because I don't want to push myself, rush myself, because you
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah.
it's hard for me. It just in the moment, like, oh, if I feel like I want to release this album today, I'll just release it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. For the viewers out there, what would be your advice? Because to me, it sounds like you've unlocked another level of creativity to where you can just be free with your art form, right? So I always see that artists struggle with that, where it has to be perfect before I put it out there, right? So what would be your advice to them?
I mean, something even you mentioned is like you're always gonna get critique, like no matter what. So if you yourself feel like you have given your art the most that it deserves, I feel like that's pretty much ready. Yeah, you can dissect it as many times as you want. Oh, this could be better. Oh, this could be better. But at the end of the day, hey, if you don't want to release it, sure. But like, don't not release it just because you think it's not good. Because I've had people reach out to me for a song that I didn't even care about and said, dude, that was the best song on that project.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things, like, it's you're so subjective with your music and your art that you basically almost get crippled by the anxiety of like, what will other people think of this?
Yeah.
But again, it's the idea of just putting it out there is you kind of feel a little lighter, just like, hey, I have a piece of art. I have something unique about me out there for people to view. It also is a good way to know how far you've come. I stumbled upon my SoundCloud from like 2019. Dude, that sounds trash.
You don't go back and delete it? You just left it?
I left it.
That makes guts too.
I left it, dude. I was like, yeah, and I was called Chivalry back then.
Yeah,
With the
okay.
SHI.
Maybe that's why you left it out there. You're like, okay, Sandeep, Chivalry, they're not going to find it.
But
we're going to find it now, by the way.
oh, they're going to find it now. SHIVALRY. That's how I spelled it because of Shiva, the god. But I enjoyed listening to it in a way that, man, it was, fuck, I've come far, dude, in 5 years. So it's also, just kind of understanding your own journey is also very interesting. So maybe I would say, if you don't want to do it for other people, do it for almost like journaling purposes. Like, hey, I released this music and it's going to be out there and I can go back to it, to listen to it, see how I've grown over the next 10 years.
Yeah. We've definitely grown, man. I've enjoyed the conversation. Always a great time.
Always a great time,
right?
man.
Where can people find you? Plug in all your stuff before we sign off.
Of course. Again, my name is Sundeep, spelled as SUNDEEP, like sun is deep. And you can find me on all streaming platforms in the Sundeep with a space between sun and deep. And then you can go to my Instagram as Sundeep_music. On Facebook is Sundeep_music as well. And then on YouTube, if you just type Sundeep First Light, that's the first music video that'll show up. And
definitely
subscribe.
worth the watch. Yeah.
Worth the watch, yeah.
All right. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Thanks for coming on.
Loved it, man. Thank you.
Way overdue. Yeah.
It's been a long time coming, man. Thank you. Yeah.
All right, there you have it. Ladies and gentlemen, the super talented Sundeep on the Maverick Podcast. In dreams, we trust.